Paul is a broker. He has a way of talking people into anything, even trying to sell a turtle as a bedbug. However, the properties he tries to sell are so terrible that he never manages to close a deal, making him a failing broker. Every buyer he brings in leaves within 5 minutes. Because Paul's business isn't working out, his family is struggling to make ends meet. One day during dinner, Paul scolds his children for spending too much. Having only received 2 cents for their daily allowance, the kids talk back to him for being scolded. One day, when Paul returns from the office, he learns that his beloved uncle has passed away. Paul feels half sad and half happy. He's sad because he lost the uncle he loved, but he's happy because he expects to receive an inheritance. His uncle had no other relatives. Paul excitedly goes to see his uncle's lawyer. Unfortunately, his uncle donated all his assets. The only inheritance left for him was a single plant. Although disappointed, he treasures it since it's his uncle's legacy. While watering it regularly every day, he notices something strange. The tree is growing money, and they are $100 bills, totaling tens of thousands. Only then does Paul realize it's a money tree. When his family members arrive at that moment, Paul distracts them and sends them away. He keeps the tree in the garage without telling anyone. Every night, he goes to collect the money growing on the tree. Gradually, Paul becomes wealthy. One day, a man claiming to be his uncle's friend comes to the house and asks Paul for a donation to his foundation. Being flush with cash, Paul throws in a $1,000 donation. Paul isn't like he used to be and has started spending lavishly. He used to give the kids barely enough for a piece of candy, but now he gives them up to $200. His family becomes suspicious and questions him, but Paul just lies and says he finally closed some big deals. One day, Paul's friend Jack mocks him for driving a junk car. Unable to stand the insult, Paul goes and buys a supercar immediately. However, because he pays in cold hard cash, the dealer gets suspicious and reports him to the police. This leads a female detective to start investigating Paul. Meanwhile, Paul goes to brag about his new car to his friend Jack. As Paul keeps getting wealthier, his family becomes more suspicious and questions him, but he dodges their questions every time. Eventually, this leads to trouble between Paul and his wife, Grace. While the couple is arguing, the old man from before comes to ask for another donation. Being in a foul mood, Paul talks to him rudely and kicks him out. Suddenly, the tree stops growing money. Assuming it's because he didn't donate to the old man, Paul goes to the man's office the next day to make a donation. The old man gives Paul a lecture on having a good heart. After Paul leaves, the detective arrives to question the old man. Later, Paul stops at a cafe. Not only does he donate $1,000 to a beggar in front of the shop, but he even gives him the coffee he's drinking. The detective arrests both the old man and the beggar, thinking they are Paul's accomplices. When Paul gets home and checks the tree, it's still not growing any money. On the day of his son's football match, Paul promises to come and cheer, but then disappears. He doesn't pick up the phone when they call. While Grace and their daughter are looking for him at the hospital, the little girl accidentally falls. She is seriously injured with broken ribs and has to be hospitalized. Paul apologizes to his wife, admitting it was his fault. His wife forgives and understands him. From that day on, Paul realizes that family is what matters most and starts giving them more time. But even though Paul has learned his lesson, it's too late. The police arrive and arrest him. In the lockup, he sees the old man and the beggar he helped. The old man reveals that he knows about the tree. He tells Paul that his own grandfather was once greedy because of that same tree, but eventually realized the truth. Soon, the police release them. The one who saves Paul is his friend, Jack. Jack testifies that he and Paul closed a huge deal together in New York. Once freed, Paul sells his supercar and donates the money. Even though he no longer has the money tree, he spends his time with his family and lives happily. And that's how the story ends. If any of you get inspired by this and go asking for an inheritance, you'll probably just get a slap in the face. Thank you.